All right. Looks like we're good to go. We are recording. Thanks everyone for joining the UEL webinar today. Joined with me is Tara Stokes, the head of the learning experience team, Juan Carlos Urbania, one of our academics, and um, Greg Hunter, a student for UEL. So Tara, I'll hand this over to you. For anyone that wants to ask questions, again, the Q&A is already open, so you can ask questions anytime to any of the panelists. For those of you who have never seen me on a webinar, I'm Billy Husty. I'm the Director of Marketing and Growth for Ducere. And Tara, I will hand it over to you to start the webinar.
Thank you very much. So today we have three speakers. You have myself, I'm Tara Stokes. I'm the Head of Learning Experience for Ducere Global Business School. We are joined by Juan Carlos Urbania, who will be joining us from the academic faculty, and Greg Hunter, who is one of our wonderful MBA students currently studying the EMBA programme. So today's agenda, so most of you on the webinar today will already know about Ducere Global Business School, but I'll just give you a quick overview of who we are and what we offer. A recap of the executive MBA modules and the programme itself, the student support and the student journey, and then you'll hear from Juan Carlos himself for an academic perspective, and we'll hand over to Greg to give you an overview of his student journey. And there is always time for questions at the end, so please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to type in your questions, and then we'll come back to them at the end of the presentation. So Ducere Global Business School is an online platform that partners with universities across the globe. Our programs, whether undergraduate or postgraduate, are about universities and enterprise collaboration, delivering degrees with real career impact. All of our programs are designed for full-time workers so that you can fit in study to your already busy lives. The three main sort of unique selling points for Ducere Global Business School is that we are 100% online, so you can use Canvas, the online learning platform, remotely from wherever you are at whatever time to kind of build it into your busy schedules. We have absolutely no exams. All of our assessments are coursework or assignment based, and they are fully applied, meaning that you can write about your own personal experiences and industries. A lot of our students will comment to let us know that they've written an assignment and they've already implemented it into their business on a day-to-day basis. So you don't have to wait until the end of the MBA to start implementing it into your businesses. The entry requirements for the executive MBA is a bachelor degree and 3 years management experience. Or if you don't have the qualifications or the educational background, you can join us with 5 years management plus. The duration of this course is 12 months, and the fees are knocked down from £19,000 down to £12,160. But please do contact any of our EAs to talk about any scholarships that are available or any payment plan options. At the end of this presentation, at the Q&A section, I'll put a screen up with QR codes so that you can contact the closest EA to you. Our intake dates are January, May and September. And this webinar in particular is for our up and coming September intake, which is due to start on the 4th of September. Now, two deadlines that you need to be aware of, application deadlines. So we've got one for anybody using any fee assistance. So that could be anybody in the US using Sallie Mae loans, or anybody in the UK that would be using a government funding loan. If you are using either of those, then please do apply by this Sunday. And anybody that is going to be funding the course themselves, you have until the 25th of August. The programme structure for the EMBA is five modules and then a major applied industry project. The modules are just stated here on the screen for you. And the major applied project is right at the end of your MBA. It goes on for 14 weeks. And it is a real life business challenge that is provided to you by a client. And it can be a global company from anywhere across the world that you will work on as a team in a group with peers in your cohort. Some of the companies that we've worked with in the past and that we partnership with are here on the screen. Not to name a few, but we've got LinkedIn, Disney, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Ford, and many, many more that we just cannot fit on the one screen for you. So quick overview of your learning experience journey or support. They're broken down into kind of 4 phases. So phase 1 is your application stage. This is managed mostly with your enrollment advisor. So your enrollment advisor will assist you all the way through until you get that all-important offer letter, where you'll be introduced to the learning experience team, which is myself and Ricky Archibald. We will finalize all of the enrollment and assist you with your onboarding. And we will start with onboarding with a series of get ahead of your studies emails. These emails will consist of things like your academic calendar, how to manage your time, and also a demo of Canvas so you can physically get in there yourself and have a little play around with the platform and have a feel for how it all works. In phase 2 is the induction. So the induction week is usually the week before you start, and it's kind of just set up so that we can ensure that you are set up for success in your studies and you're ready to go by the 4th of September. We also send out game plans. So in there are loads of hints and tips that we've put together over the years from students. Things like how to write an assignment, how to tackle referencing, how to manage your time again, because they are the main sort of questions. So this is really good to kind of go through that the week before you start. In the induction week, we will also provide you with a live induction webinar where we will go through the course in a lot more detail. We will provide you with a Canvas tour and some hints and tips along the way. Phase 3 is your studying your degree, you're physically doing it, and you'll have loads of support from ourselves in the learning experience team and also your academic faculty, where you'll have live webinars, live Q&A sessions, and you'll have live weekly drop-in sessions with the learning experience team for any non-academic questions. Believe me, there are loads. We'll also send out weekly announcements for your first module. They're kind of there to set you on track. So for many students joining us, they haven't been in study for a long time. So we kind of just provide you with a how to keep on track week to week. So week 1, read chapters 1 to 3. This is where you should be, that type of thing. Then phase 4, the really, really exciting part, the bit that you're all excited for, is your graduation. So we will assist you all the way through it to make sure that you've got those certificates in hand, and of course, assist you with your graduation ceremony and celebratory activities. So over to you, Juan Carlos, please.
Thank you, Tara, and thank you for introducing so much because a lot of what I'm going to say was already covered. For example, how it is that we deal in our classes. We are very much striving for practical education as much as possible. And like Tara mentioned, a lot of our students not only are working on concepts that they feel are appropriate for their careers and their professional life, but they're already enacting them. Which actually kind of works out in their best interest because you get to write a report that is dealing with, for example, a potential digital transformation that you might be trying to enact in your office, or a marketing plan that you've been kind of kicking around but haven't really had the time to put the finishing touches on and introduce it to your management team. And, you get a little bit of free consulting if you think about it, right? You have somebody who's been working in the field for an extended period of time and is still working in the field that can read through your document and say, this seems like a good idea. Maybe you want to tweak this other thing and make sure you support your stuff. So we're very much focused on a practical education in all of our classes. We want to make sure that when you're learning the concepts, you are able to apply them directly to the professional life you're currently living, or maybe the professional life you hope to be living as soon as you graduate. You also have the benefit that your academics are, as I mentioned a second ago, still working in the field. So, I very much enjoyed my MBA when I did it seemingly eons ago. But one of the things that I remember thinking about was how the examples were so old. And they were relevant for 30 or 40 years in the past, and it's because the professors at the time were fantastic, but they had seen a lot of stuff in the background, or in the past rather, and it was a time when just like now, technology was changing and how you did business was rapidly evolving, and you kind of need to know how to do business in a world after a global pandemic. And to do that, you need to have somebody who still does business in a world after a global pandemic, or with smartphones, or any number of other different innovations. Uh, the real advantage here is the practical learning and the practical academics. You'll be able to go through the course as you are also working, if that's if that's how you're going in life, or if you're focusing solely on your studies, you'll be able to apply the material directly to what you are hoping to accomplish in your professional goals. You'll have academics with you who have faced those same challenges and can tell you, I think this isn't going to work because I tried it and this was the result, and to talk it out and have those discussions. And on top of that, you also have the opportunity to be in a class with students from all over the world. And this is really one of the great benefits, not just to you as students, but to us as faculty, being able to see what the core business concepts, how they're applied everywhere in the world, across different cultures, different languages, etc. And one of the things I've been most surprised about in my time at Ducere is just how well the cohorts communicate with each other, and how well they get along. And especially towards the end, when you get to the industry project and you're working in a group across several time zones, it's a lot more seamless than you think, and the rewards are kind of limitless, considering the amount of learning there, both in and outside the classroom. So I very much look forward to having you in any of my classes, specifically the marketing ones, and I will be sticking around to the end to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Juan Carlos. That's really helpful. So we're going to move on to the wonderful Greg. Thank you so much for joining us today, Greg. Would you mind providing us a little bit of information on your student journey, and maybe provide some sort of insights into students that are looking to join us in September?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Tara. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I just want to say it's been a real honor to be a student at the University of East London in the global business program provided by Ducere. It's been an amazing journey throughout the last 12 months. I'm in the last couple of weeks, I'm proud to say, coming into the final stretch with just a few days to go. Just a few last minute assignments to submit before the 20th. But my journey actually takes me from the beginning way back many years ago when I started off into my profession as a paramedic, both in the air and in the ground, or on the ground, that is. Started off, like I said, as a paramedic, both air and ground, working with the fire department on multiple levels, working as a trainer, clinical evaluator. And after about 10 years of that, I realized it's a young man's job. I needed to do something different. So I migrated through an opportunity via a friend of mine who introduced me to the medical device industry. I started off as a clinical specialist for Eli Lilly and Company, working in the angioplasty division of Eli Lilly, called Advanced Cardiovascular Systems, where I developed my clinical presentation skills and really enhanced my training skills on a pretty tall level during that period. Eventually, after years as a clinical specialist, I worked into sales and marketing for Eli Lilly, and eventually into other companies encompassed, for example, Boston Scientific, Johnson & Johnson, Cordis Corporation most recently, and had over the years developed skill sets in sales, marketing, clinical support. Actually had several roles in management, but I really was at a point in my career where I wanted to take it to the next level, that being going into a directorship role. Now, I thought there'd be no better way than to run my own organization and to really develop the skill sets necessary to be effective at that level. That's where I came across the University of East London and Ducere. I felt that from stem to stern, from beginning to the end of the program, it was going to offer me all the materials and all the tools necessary to be effective in my new role. I officially launched my new position, or my new company, in April of this year, while under the guided direction here at the University of East London and Ducere during my studies. And it was kind of a tandem juggling act, if you will, trying to learn and start a business at the same time while going through the MBA program. But it was really synchronized quite well. And I'm learning a lot as I go. A lot of practical experience, as Juan Carlos highlighted, is really important and something you'll learn here. It's been a treat. It's been a real joy. And I think the global reach that this university offers to its students is priceless. It's really been a value add for me. It's where I want to take my business. I don't want to keep it in one place. I want to be able to take this to a global level as a distributorship that's engaging on multiple levels, and certainly a global perspective is in mind. So this will be very helpful. It's been a real treat and a real joy and a very valuable experience.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Greg, for sharing all that with us. It's wonderful to hear. So thank you very much. And good luck with your business.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. So on the screen, you can see all of the QR codes that I mentioned earlier. So please do scan away and get in contact with our enrollment advisors, who will be more than happy to help you with your application if you haven't done so already. And I think I'm going to pass it over to Bill now, who is going to look through our Q&As.
That is correct. We do have a few questions already, but feel free to ask questions in the Q&A. So while we answer questions, feel free to ask away. I think the first question that we'll start with, which is, I think, is a great question for either Greg or Juan Carlos, is what is the expected study load on a weekly basis?
I think that's a question best left for Greg.
Fantastic.
My personal experience, I think, from going through the study material, the readings, jumping on the webinars, staying in line with your cohort and true to your assignment due dates and your submissions, I was probably committing about 15 to 20 hours per week. I was incrementally splitting that up on weeknights, and the vast majority of my commitment from a timeline perspective was dedicated to the weekends. So that was pretty, I made that just a religious, dedicated effort on my part. I took some online courses before coming over to the University of East London, and really developed the skill sets to really stay right on task, stay on time, stay with your cohort, stay tight. And fortunately enough, during the weekly process, we would have a weekly cohort meeting to discuss, where we're at with everything. Is anybody having any difficulty? If so, what is it? We'd help each other out. Every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. my time, Central Standard Time in Minneapolis is what it landed for me. That was very helpful. And the rest of the weekend was dedicated for, really focusing on what was needed to be done before Monday came around.
And I will add just a small little bit of addition there. There is also the possibility of different schedules for different folks, right? So some students will do like what Greg suggested, which is have a kind of even keel throughout the term and keep with that consistency. And that's very valuable. There's also other students who will ebb and flow it with their workflow at work. And will maybe dive in a little bit deeper and spend more time on the class when assignments are due in a couple of weeks. And then maybe when they just submitted their assignments, they will, do reading and stuff, but they'll take a little bit of a step back. So it really is a lot about what works best for your schedule.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. We have another question that's almost a follow-up. I have a family and a full-time job. What happens if I can't make an assignment on time?
So I'll take this one. So we do have safety nets for exceptional circumstances. We do know that you have lives and things do happen in the world. So just contact anybody in the learning experience team and we'll be able to help you with extensions.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tara. I think another one for you, Tara. We mentioned the potential scholarship available. With the August 25th deadline, how can we attempt to secure financial assistance?
So for UK loans, you can apply online. It doesn't take very long. Obviously, we don't need to have had your application back to say that you've got it or not. It's obviously better to have that in place, but you can still apply, and then you can defer if needs be. And then it would just be a simple change over to the next intake if you do want to apply. And it's the same for salary loans. You can do the same with them. You can apply online, but you don't have to physically have the proof to actually apply.
And just for everyone, the salary is for the US cohorts.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tara. And I guess actually another question that is almost a follow-up of the second question that we went over is, is there any support with my assignments if I need help?
Yes, there's loads of support and assistance. So obviously you've got your live Q&A sessions, you've got your live webinars with your academic, and your academic physically goes through the assignments with you and tells you exactly what they're looking for before you write it. We've got what's called a toolkit online already, which you get access to before your modules that you can work through, which goes through how to write different sort of academic assignments, whether it's reflective or whether it's a report, so it shows you the different ways. There's loads of support on there in terms of referencing, and on your game plan that you will also get before you start. We've got loads of information on there on how easy technology has made referencing. It's not as hard as you think it is. There are loads of ways that can kind of cite things for you, and when you're reading, you can cite it as you go along with our library as well. So there's loads of support around you, and if you ever need more, then you just reach out to either the learning experience team or your academic, and they'll be there to support you too.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off that real quick, because I know a lot of students, especially when they first start, if they haven't been in academics for a while, they feel a little scared by the process. And I want to really hone in on three things quickly, right? First, well, we've already talked about that the assignments here are meant to be practical. Students will think that they have to jump into an academic program and then start writing treatises that are going to be put in medical journals. And maybe you would do that in another school, but you're going to be writing the kind of plans and reports that you would be writing if you were doing this for a living, right? Number one. Number two, students oftentimes, and this is definitely the comments we get at the very beginning, get most worried about things like academic writing and about referencing. And like Tara was mentioning, there's never been an easier time to know how to reference and do stuff like that. We will walk you through that process as academics, and trust me when I say we get plenty of questions in that regard about how to do that. But set aside the academic words for a second and just think about it from the perspective of what it is that you're doing, which is you're just supporting your argument, right? You're just saying, I think that marketing it this way is a good idea, and here is the proof that I'm using to demonstrate that it's a good idea. And then finally, again, like what Tara said, like every assignment has a webinar beforehand where we will talk about the assignment and discuss exactly what it is that we're looking for. You also get an assignment brief that is quite detailed, that tells you exactly the questions that are meant to be asked on the assignment. It also has the rubric on it, so you'll know exactly how you'll be marked come the time that the assignment is turned in. So you have a wealth of information available to you, and then what you do with that information is up to you.
Juan Carlos, appreciate it. I'm going to combine a few questions that are similar, and I think this is going to go to Tara. But we have one question that are, what are the graduation rates for this program, and how many alumni are part of this program? So those are two separate questions, but I thought be good to ask you, Tara.
Yeah, no problem at all. So we've actually got 79 students that have completed the program in different cohorts. We've got 50 that have had their grades and had been through an awards and things like that. So I'm just basing off my percentages on those 50 because we're still waiting for the others to kind of get their grades. So we are currently at 70% for distinctions, and we are at 20% for merits and 10% pass. So for this course in particular, it's a very good high rate for passing in distinctions.
And for our American audience, those are B and C.
Thanks.
No problem. That was a real learning curve for me too.
Perfect. And Tara, another question for you. Popular on this webinar. What happens if we don't graduate on time? What are the options, if there are any?
So graduate as in not going to the graduation ceremony, or do you mean not completing the program? Sorry.
Not completing the program.
Not completing. So there's different options really. So if you, for instance, fail a module or you fail an assignment, then you will get the opportunity to resit it or to rework it. So if you failed for any reasons, you will get the opportunity to rework that piece of paper to bring it up to a pass grade. So you get 2 chances at each assignment. So the failure rate is very slim by the time that you've reworked your paper and kind of gone through a pass, you know. If you do fail multiple times, then it depends on how many modules that you've completed, and you can finish with a postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificate, so that you do physically leave with some credits that you could utilize for future references. But by the time you've resat, to be honest, we haven't had that problem yet. Yay.
Fantastic. Great. Let's see here. We have another question. Again, I think Tara, I think maybe everyone can answer this one, but when are live sessions held in this program?
So they're different for every module, depending on your academic, because we're a global school. It does depend on where your academic is based. So it will be very different from module to module. What academics do tend to do is to kind of look at where everybody is based in the world, and they try to get accommodate a time that's best suited for you guys. Usually, JC, I'd say that you usually do yours kind of evening time for US. Is that right?
Evening time for for the graduate classes, we try to do a couple different time zones. So we'll do maybe late afternoon in Europe and then late afternoon in the US. So if you're a US based student, you would see half of the webinars to be around 11 o'clock Eastern in the morning, and then the others at 3 p.m. Eastern. And those are all recorded as well. So we do have really good interaction. Students do come in live, but we get questions submitted ahead of time, which are always addressed as part of the webinars. We have drop-in sessions that alternate and stuff. So we really do try to accommodate the students' time zones as best as possible. But generally, regardless of whether you're European-based or US-based, you can expect in my classes to have at least a couple of webinars to be in the afternoon your time.
Perfect. Thanks, Juan Carlos. And as Juan Carlos has already said, that they are all recorded. They're all posted onto Canvas so that you can watch them as many times as you want if you've already attended or you can't attend. And all of the links are added to Canvas as well for ease for you. And on the welcome webinar, I'll go through how you get those nice and easily.
Thanks, everyone. We have another question here that I think all of us can answer. I might actually start answering this one and then hand it over to you guys. But we have another question. This is an accredited program, correct? And so yes, it is an accredited program. Ducere, we partner with universities around the world. So we partner with universities in Africa, Australia, the UK, Paris, Rome, and Spain. And what we do from the Ducere side as a school is we make sure that, as we talked about, that all your assignments are tailored to your career. So that's why our slogan is your dream career, 1 degree away. So like for Greg, for instance, who's on the call, he's a UEL Executive MBA graduate. So that's the paper he has. It's not Ducere, it's the UEL, but he worked with Ducere, and we just ensure that his assignments are tailored to what he wants to do, whether it's his company or anyone's dream career or their current career path. So that's how I like to explain to people how Ducere fits in with all this. But again, these are fully accredited degrees through the universities. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, but
No, I think you've knocked it on the head there, Bill. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Great. We have another question too about the cohort. So are all the students combined? So is it a global cohort or is it separated?
Yeah, so it is a global cohort. So it depends. So how your cohorts are broken up is when you start. So when you start in September, you will be a physical cohort of everybody that started in September. And that's how it's kind of broken down. So you'll get to know those guys quite a lot. You will get to know other cohorts as well that could possibly be on the same modules as you, which is quite nice again, because you kind of get a little bit of a feel for people that have already been on the course. But yes, you as a cohort, you will be global, and it'll be everybody that started in September. And then for your industry project, that big cohort is kind of broken down into kind of 8s and 9s of groups of people.
Laura, I'm going to combine two questions again because, I mean, thanks everyone for these questions. We have a lot coming in, so I'm going to start combining a few. But the next question is, the first part is graduation live and where? And the second question that's similar is, can we visit the schools, visit the campuses?
Yes and yes. So your graduations, depending on when you start in the year, are in London on UEL's campus in Docklands, which is fantastic. So you will get to visit the campus because you're physically graduating there, and you're more than welcome to walk around and have a look around, because it's all kind of open for everybody to see. Your graduations are live. If you want to attend in London, that's absolutely fine. If for any reasons you can't attend, you can also attend online and watch it. It's slightly different though. It's more like watching rather than participating. But yes, it's live, and yes, you can go to the campus.
Fantastic. I think it is a good time to wrap up. I think we've answered almost all. We tried to get to everyone. I really appreciate all the questions. Thank you, Greg, for joining. Juan Carlos, as always. Tara, thanks for running the webinar. Oh, we have one more. Actually, we'll do one more question just because we have the scholarships and everything for this intake. We had a question about the scholarship cost, and if they can still take that, if the scholarship still applies for next intake, and what is it in USD? So for the US audience, it's around 15,000 USD for the 12-month course for the executive MBA. What we recommend is that you actually apply now to secure that scholarship, because in marketing and in finance, we do, the course price does change quarter by quarter. And so if you apply this weekend or before the deadline, you will secure that. You can always defer, and you will secure that scholarship. So it's for the US audience, it's 15,000. And then if you just apply, you secure that scholarship, even if you defer. So we can't guarantee the scholarship price each intake, and the next intake for this is January. So you can secure the scholarship now and start in January, but we can only guarantee the scholarship is secured if you apply for this intake. Sorry, that was the last minute question. That's it for now. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll send the recording probably tomorrow or late this afternoon. Thanks to our panelists. Pleasure to have you. And for everyone on the webinar, we look forward to having you for this upcoming intake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.